Check. Check.
You are.
Should probably close that door.
Think so?
Just in case.
Or talk about some shit?
Yeah?
Don't want mom to hear?
Yeah. Let's be honest. This is a really good acai smoothie. Good job, Sonny. Thanks, dude. This place feels weird without Rex.
Dude, I miss Rex. I don't even know if I even, I kind of took a hiatus from the podcast while Rex was here, but it was such, a blessing.
Yeah, I know.
I have, my childhood best friend just move into my house, move into my brother's room.
Yeah,
it lasted for months, man. You got to see it.
I know.
It was awesome.
I was expecting Rex here.
Yeah, exactly.
I totally forgot.
No, life has been much slower without him.
Really?
But here we are, Sonny, fucking sitting in the backyard doing a podcast.
Yes, we are.
A long time.
And we are alive.
We are we are live. Whenever you're hearing
we
this.
are alive.
We are alive.
Yeah, that's what I said.
I barely feel alive, man.
You look pretty zonked out.
I'm so tired. Yeah. I was explaining to Sonny, I stayed up all night messaging this guy in Italy about a summer camp for these kids. I don't know what it is, man, but jobs don't excite me until they don't pay well and they're far away.
I don't know what it is about you either.
I've been on so many job interviews lately, in the area. Tonight I'm going down to a bar in Newport. I'm going down to Sharky's.
Oh, really?
Job, yeah.
No. Don't do that. You shouldn't do that.
But that's how, I just need a paycheck or something at this point, because I am trying to leave the country.
You're trying to get the fuck out of here.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's been the mode since, for the past year. I just didn't do any work about it.
Okay.
I just sat around and thought about it.
Well, shit.
And now I'm in get the fuck out mode.
And you can get the fuck out mode? Are you 26 yet?
Mm-hmm.
That's why. I think when everyone's, turning 26 these days, they want to get the fuck out, change their life, do something different.
Yeah.
I think that's the number to, actually do something. But it's, weird how everyone's doing that. And they're all, my close friends.
I think it's because I'm a Pisces. What do you think?
That's probably why, yeah.
Yeah, I really wanted to get you over here today, man, because you're a spiritual guy now.
No, not at all. I am
doing
in no way.
All these retreats. You're floating in float tanks. You're getting.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to live every day, as it is. Hence all these flotation tanks. This seminar I went to last weekend. It's called Landmark. It's kind of like a open forum kind of thing. Basically, everything I'm doing is for self-awareness. Because I've been pretty depressed the past few years. Depressed. You know when everyone says live every day like it's your last? I was living every day like it was my fucking last day, but self-inflicting that.
So what
I didn't have to live every day like it was my last. I mean, I would say I pushed my limits for everything I did. And I don't know why I'm alive now. For how much stuff I have done, I should not be alive. I shouldn't be.
Why?
But
what
I am.
Should have killed you.
But I am. Overdosing on whatever you want to think of. Whichever drug you want to think of. Let's just say I took more than enough to kill somebody. And I survived. And I played with that for too long, knowing I can live, even though I take this deadly stuff. And I just pushed my limits, hurt my family, friends. And now it finally stopped.
Cool.
Yeah. It had to stop. Otherwise, I'm just I'll tell you why it stopped, because I went to Landmark this weekend.
Really?
Yes.
You think that was the deciding factor?
It made me have a different perspective on viewing things. I've been depressed I've been waking up in the morning thinking of ways to kill myself. And literally after the first day of Landmark, I woke up 5 in the morning and went to the gym instead of having those thoughts. I don't know. Their methodology is very well structured, because it's not like a non-profit. There's a profit to this, of course,
It's big business.
It's a big business, but it's like it's weird how they structure their business. It's not like there's one person on a yacht collecting all the money every month. It's an equally shared company. Every employee has 2% stake in the company, so they're all equally valued. There's not
50 employees.
50 employees all around the world, and the teacher I had, or the leader, they call themselves forum leaders. It's called a forum because everyone can just go up and say their story and come sit back down. And the guidelines for the forum is what's said in there should remain in there. But if you want to give an example to someone, you can tell them what someone's story was. Just don't put a name to it. Otherwise,
fair enough.
That defeats the purpose of a closed forum. But I can tell you, she saved marriages. She saved someone from killing someone else. Some lady was about to kill her husband. She was literally about to murder her husband, and my forum leader stopped her from doing that by the end of it. So it's really profound what they can do and how they can change your view of how you perceive stuff. You don't have to rely on a story, your original story you have for why your life is fucked up. You don't have to keep going back to that original story. You can start on a new one. Have a new perspective, not a new slate, because everything you do, there's consequences.
Yeah, you have momentum from your past life, but you can adjust the way you explain it to yourself.
Right, exactly. And then she broke that down, and then she had this whole concept of, the concept of it. It's called it. So she described it as. So what are you thinking right now, Marshall? What's on your head?
Thinking I'm really sleepy. Thinking I should have made more tea. Thinking.
What's it thinking right now? So these people couldn't grasp the idea of what it means, and it's just that little voice in your head that is telling you what you should think, what you should do, how you should perceive things. So basically, there was one lady in the audience who didn't understand what the hell it was, and she said that she said that she couldn't shut up. It kept going and going. Yeah. So she brought her up to this in front of the audience, and she kept asking her, "What's it feeling now?" And then she said, "It's feeling like I'm hungry." And then the teacher said, "What's it feeling now?" And then she said, "It's feeling like my teacher has really nice blue eyes." "What's it feeling now?" "It's feeling like," and then she kept doing that over and over, and then until she stopped, and then it wasn't thinking about anything anymore. And basically the whole meaning for that was to stop your mind from racing. So she kept saying, "What's it thinking? What's it thinking?" until she couldn't say anything else because there was nothing left. So basically we're just trying to get to that state over and over. When we're overthinking stuff, break it down, keep breaking it down. What's it thinking now? What's it thinking now? And then you can say it out loud too. It's thinking this, it's thinking that, and then eventually it'll just stop. Your brain will just stop thinking.
You come to the singularity moment.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. You're completely in tune.
Yeah.
That's beautiful, man. This is a lot of the same principles that I learned in my Buddhist classes in college.
Really?
And at all the meditation retreats. Yeah, there's a bunch of different exercises for this. And I remember we were talking on the phone yesterday. I was trying to remember a Bruce Lee quote. I wanted to look it up, but then I stayed up all night looking up Italy resorts instead.
Oh, yeah.
And but the idea is that there's there's very few principles. And the main principle...
Oh.
Are we about to get leaf blown?
It seems like it, but... I don't think so.
It's a neighbor.
Well, now they can't hear us.
We might get leaf blown.
I already feel it. We can move.
Yeah, let's go inside.
We can walk together.
Check. We're back. We're no longer being leaf blown. We moved inside.
I know.
That's a constant worry in my house, man. My parents just kind of regularly pay these Mexicans to come blow leaves.
Oh, God.
And it comes in unannounced in the backyard, ominously.
This year we're doing work. Shit.
Yeah, they're working. And that's a hard thing for me, man, because I don't work much. And I'm always sitting there drinking tea and smoking weed while these guys are working hard around me. It's a rough life, you know?
Yeah, you gotta get out of here. You gotta go to Italy.
It's inevitable, yeah. But the point I was gonna make, man, is that there's so many similarities in this landmark forum, and you notice it even in float tanks and meditation retreats and Buddhism.
Yeah.
There's so much overlap in everything, and it just goes back to this Bruce Lee quote in my head where he says that principles are few. So the principle being you want to merge the voice in your head and what's going on.
Yeah.
So the principles are few, but the techniques are infinite.
Yes.
So there's a billion ways to do
Yes,
this.
there are.
And so Landmark has just honed into one very good way.
Yeah.
It seems to be very beneficial. I looked into it. You invited me to a meeting the other night, I very rudely didn't go, but I did some research, and I've known people who've gone through this in the past, and like everyone comes back glowing like you are.
Yeah. So like, I just forgot what I was gonna say.
Interrupted you with my little story.
God, I literally forgot. Anyway, there are different ways. Like the person who told me about Landmark, he told me to do Vipassana first, the 10-day meditation.
Which I've been in the habit of telling everyone to go to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he did that because he was in like kind of the same boat as me, very depressed, very suicidal, and he told me about Landmark, but he first told me to join Vipassana, but that was like outside of my, I needed something now.
Yeah.
And Vipassana has like a 3-month, 4-month waiting list.
Yeah. Around here it does.
So it's kind of unfortunate.
Yeah, and then just to explain to people listening, Vipassana is the 10-day meditation retreat that I've done a couple times. I did it on Joshua Tree in December. Mm-hmm. I recorded a good podcast with Fisher where I explained it, and the podcast was deleted off my recorder.
Oh, no.
Never got heard. But Vipassana is amazing, man. Like I'm a really big fan of just sitting there for 10 days, meditating. And because almost everyone goes through a very similar thing where for like 3 or 4 days it's like brutal.
Yeah.
Like the way they describe it is like putting cold water in a hot frying pan. Like you come in there like a hot frying pan, you got all these things going on in your life, you got all these stories you're telling yourself.
You got all those its running around your head.
Yeah, so many its going on. And then so you sit there for like 3 or 4 days, and like my experience has always been like I just keep going through like, okay, who did I not tell is going to be here? Who's counting on me? Who's calling me going, what the fuck? Is Sonny mad that I'm here? Like, just, I went last time, I had some job opportunities left in the air.
Really?
Rex was living here, and he was like, I thought he was trying to move out, but we didn't really talk about it. And Dad thought he was moving. All these things left in the air. So for 3 or 4 days, it's like hard to get any, like, hard to feel like you're progressing because you're just worried about everything.
And the thing is, like, even people with no problems should do it.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you have no problems, you become better, like, in every single way.
Well, I don't think anyone exists that has no problems.
I mean,
that's the first noble truth of Buddhism is life is suffering.
So the thing is, people think they have no problems. That's the reality.
Who? People say this to you?
Seth yesterday, he said, I told him, like, I think this forum would be really beneficial for you. He came for the visitor day when we're allowed to bring a guest. Mm-hmm. The day you were supposed to go.
Day I bailed.
He went into it with a really negative like mindset. He's like, I don't have any problems. This is not going to work for me. Like this is not this is for people who have no other choices, whatever. But then that's not what Landmark is for. It's for entrepreneurs, like really successful entrepreneurs to become better. It's for people who don't have a relationship with their family properly, which they don't, which is the majority. That's like 99% of the audience. But Seth was like, I'm going to give it a year to see if I can do it on my own. By the end of it, he said, okay, now I'm more open to joining, maybe. Yeah, in a couple weeks.
Yeah, anyone says they don't have problems, man, I don't trust them. That doesn't sound right at all. Or maybe they're not.
Or they said they can handle it on their own when they can't. Like he can't handle it on his own. There's no way. I don't know. It can be applied to all people. Mm-hmm. All people.
Definitely. Because what you're saying earlier, man, about like the story you tell yourself, like I've been dealing with that a lot in my own life.
Yeah.
Because my default story is one of unworthiness.
Yeah.
Even with this podcast, I'm like, who the fuck am I to record myself talking, sweating in my room?
Who the fuck are you?
Who the fuck am I?
I don't know.
And then, so this comes up in so many different ways. I mean, I was out in Vegas, like that was the last podcast I released, and I was out there like talking to a jiu-jitsu guy, a guy I love, a guy who I hold in such high respect, about going out there to teach. And I was like, oh my God, me? I can't even picture myself and standing in front of people. I feel like a fraud. That's one of these stories that it's gonna keep. I think it's something from early childhood, like something about the way my dad interacted with me, something about didn't feel worthy in my own life. Yeah. Something about that's gonna keep coming up. So that's the one that I have to keep.
You gotta keep reminding yourself. Just because my dad raised me that way doesn't mean I have to act this way now.
It's not a lost cause.
Yeah,
it's never a lost cause.
The hardest part is just keep remember.
Yeah.
Remember you're not a piece of shit.
Yeah.
You know? I just have to keep reminding myself that all the time, and it's working. But, it does tie back to, it could be early childhood, it could be whenever in your life, it could have been yesterday, you know?
Yeah.
You know, what you did yesterday that was incorrect should not affect this current day. Or just because you thought this way about someone leaving the house doesn't mean that has to affect the rest of your fucking day. You know? Yeah. And if they're mad, let them be mad. It's their issue. It's their issue. You're yourself. Like, it's kind of selfish in a way to think like that. But it's not selfish at all.
Yeah,
like,
it
comes down to it.
That I've heard that theory called enlightened selfishness, where like the best thing you could do for anyone else is take care of yourself.
Yeah, take care of yourself.
It's selfish to hydrate sometimes as well. It's selfish sometimes to get enough sleep.
Yeah,
but these are things that benefit every single other person.
Like you should put the oxygen mask on yourself first, not the babies.
Yeah, don't save any babies. That's the main point of the Landmark Forum.
Yes.
Is fuck babies. I haven't been, that's what I read.
Yeah, you learned that on the last day. You already know.
Yeah. One arena that I see people dealing with their own stories is jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Because people come in and like, the hallmark for me of an inexperienced person is right before we roll, they'll explain to me how inexperienced they are. They're giving me that narrative.
Well, the fact that they actually showed up to roll
puts them ahead of billions of people.
I came up with so many bullshit stories to not go to jiu-jitsu except for the last one. My God.
It happens, man. But it's really interesting to see how someone can change in jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is one of these tools that helps people renegotiate their storyline, because if you keep coming to jiu-jitsu, you can tell yourself, okay, I'm the new guy, I'm going to suck, all these people are good, and you invent reasons. Like, the biggest mistake I see people make is thinking that other people are intrinsically good at things. Mm-hmm. Like, I see this guy, Sonny, he has his life together. Like, God, that's just something that he's just born with. When no, you just said, like, for 2 years or
yeah, for 2 years I've been trying to kill myself, and especially the last 2 months.
But you could see how someone could meet you today and be like, man, this guy has great posture, his eyes are wide, it doesn't look like he did a dab recently.
It's been a while.
Like he looks arrested.
Oh yeah, like the exact opposite of Marshall Stamper, except for right now.
Yeah, and so when people come in and they, for example, you know, I have some good moves that I've been working on for the past 5 years. Mm-hmm. They haven't seen me work on them 10,000 times. They haven't seen me do 10,000 arm bars. Right. So they get this story in their head, like, okay, he's doing this to me because my own unworthiness, because I'm a piece of shit, because whatever the fuck their own personal trauma has been. And then, but if they stick with it, 3 months later, Sonny Jhaj walks in the room, and he's like, hey guys, I don't know anything. And they're like, okay, let me show you. Maybe they haven't done an arm bar 10,000 times, but they did 300, and now they hit it on you, and all of a sudden their brain freaks out, and they're like, okay, what the fuck? I just tapped somebody.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful to see, man. It's beautiful when someone can take their personal narrative and switch it.
Our teacher gave an example, like, what's the difference between a rock rolling down the hill and, like, you rolling down a hill?
I don't know.
You're complaining.
The rock doesn't complain.
Rock doesn't complain. Rock doesn't make excuses. Rock doesn't complain. It just goes down the hill.
True.
You know? And I wish it was that easy for us.
Dude, that's my favorite part about talking about, like, all this, you know, all you have to do is rearrange your life.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy to say and so hard to do.
I know. But then you have to do it, though. You know, you have to do it. You have to go to Italy. You have to fucking go. That's why you're
I have to.
That's why you were up all night last night. You you have that mentality like, I need to go and get out of here, and you're doing it. Slowly but surely, but you're doing it.
Yeah.
But that's like that's hard for me. That'd be hard to like plan a trip. Like that would be like, so I don't know. I'd be too scared and wouldn't do it. I'd end up not doing it. Like traveling, I haven't been traveling this past 2 years when I should have been. I had 2 years, Jesus, and I've just been here in Orange County living comfortably in my comfortable lifestyle.
So comfortable around here.
Yeah.
That's what freaks me out the most, man. We were talking about it. We're sitting on the floor in my bedroom, and Sonny jokingly sat down and was like, oh, that's where you sleep? And I was like, yeah, I do. I sleep on the floor. Like, there's a bed in here. It's a nice
come from
bed.
a house
it's a fine bed.
with like 6 beds. So,
but my whole thinking, man, is that like I think it's very dangerous to get too comfortable. This is an idea I've been hearing a lot.
Hell yeah,
because like there's very little benefit. Like comfort is more. It's the lack of growth. It's the lack of discomfort.
Yeah.
It's the all these things that I think are very beneficial. I mean that's why I think it's great to go do scary shit as well.
Yeah, I mean I just went skydiving 3 weeks ago. But not for the intention to have fun. I went in the hopes of maybe the chute wouldn't fucking go up and I'd hit the ground. That's literally why I went skydiving. I have the video too. The links will be in the description.
The video's a lot funnier than you're making it sound.
Video is funny. The video is funny, but you know, I'm always like, you know, like I can like portray like a happy person when on the inside, you know. Everyone has internal issues, and I was able to cover that up.
Yeah,
through drugs and alcohol.
Covering up very well, man. Because we've been hanging out. Like we took, you know, obviously I was traveling around. We didn't see each other for a couple of years.
Yeah.
But we were hanging out the past year. I had no idea.
Yeah.
I was suicidal. I mean, depression. Like it always kind of makes sense to me because I deal with it myself.
Yeah.
Everyone in my family deals with it.
I mean, I've never dealt
common.
with it. The thing is, I've never dealt with it, and for it to just be put on me all of a sudden is just like you said, I shouldn't get too comfortable. I shouldn't have gotten too comfortable with my lifestyle of everything being perfect and fine. It's not perfect and fine.
Yeah.
Everything's not perfect and fine. And now that it's not, I have to deal with that. And it was a drastic change for me. So that put me into suicidal depression thoughts. So that's basically why. And this landmark class took those thoughts away. Like, they're gone. They just never existed. Like, I always thought I was unworthy, like the same thing you were saying. But it changed my whole view of what the possibilities could be. And it changed my, like, interactions with people. Like, I'm able to share, share myself and talk.
I know. Look at you, man. You have a microphone on you. You're telling people you're depressed.
Yeah. I mean, like, it feels good to share. You know, it feels good to tell people, like, I don't want to fucking kill myself anymore.
Yeah.
Like, the people that were worried about that, I called all of them right after the forum was over. And they were so relieved. They were, like, so happy. Especially my brother. He was so stoked. He was like, oh, okay, good. Thank God.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's all relative, all these different things, these different methods. Yeah. They are.
Yeah, and that's why I can't hate on any of them, man. Like, everyone has, or there's so many different ways to go about it.
It's like, yeah, the landmark it's not spiritual at all. It's not like, we meditated, but it wasn't to be spiritual.
What does spiritual mean?
Get rid of we meditated to, like, get rid of our fears. Spiritual means, like, I'd say the class was oriented towards religion or some kind of, like, higher power.
Let me open this window.
See me sweating?
I'm sweating.
It's a tea. Yeah, so it's not a spiritual class. She makes it very, like, clear in the first 5 minutes. This is not a spiritual religious class. If that's what you guys are here for, I'm sorry. Like, this is not it. So there were people who were really, like, mad about that because they were like, what the fuck? Like, because she started saying stuff about like how the world is just a hard place and all that kind of stuff. And she even, like, was against meditation at one point, but not really against it. She said it's impossible to stop that voice in your head.
That's the biggest joke in meditation.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people, like, my biggest Like, when I feel the worst for people is when they tell me they want to meditate, but they can't because they can't clear their head. Because no single person can clear their head. That's not a real thing.
False.
That's not an attainable thing.
False.
No one can.
I mean,
no one does it.
Unless this guy was like bullshitting me. This guy went up. I mean, he still says it even after the class, and he's like a very meditative, spiritual guy. And he went in front of the class and said, "I'm able to turn that off." He's like, "I can turn it off right now." And he's like, he just kept giving like examples of how he can turn off that old voice, no matter what.
So to me, that sounds like someone saying they have no problems. Like, maybe, like, I hope he's right, but that doesn't sound possible.
I know what he went
all.
there. I know what his problem was. He couldn't get his business to grow. That's what he went to the Landmark Forum for. He couldn't come up with the ideas or the methodology of how to grow his t-shirt business.
Yeah.
Okay? So he has that problem. It's not like he doesn't have any problems.
Oh, I know. I was saying that as like a categorical thing that I see as... I was referring to Seth. Okay. Because my point still stands, man. Like, anyone who's worried about... or who wants to meditate but is worried that they can't do it because they can't turn off their head, that's the process. That's how it is. Yeah. It's like if you didn't want to exercise because you're afraid of getting tired. Like, yeah, you're gonna get tired. Every single person who exercises gets tired. Yeah. Maybe it just takes a while. But there's no person impervious to getting tired and exercising. In the same way, there's no person who can turn off their head. That's the way I think of it.
I mean, that's
maybe I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I mean, it's cool to have the idea that there's some guy out there who has it figured out. And
I've never seen a guy like that who can just do that.
And I'm skeptical of anyone who says they can. I'm very skeptical.
Me too. And he said he's been doing it for 20 years, so I'm like, I can't say anything to you. You know? And the teacher just kept disagreeing with him. So like that topic never really got like resolved. Yeah. But her conclusion was you can't shut up. It can't shut up.
Yeah, that's been my impression, and that's just from me. You know, I spent 4 weeks last year in meditation. I talked to a lot of meditation teachers. Yeah. And they all they don't want to say it because like I think it's just a conclusion you're supposed to come to on your own. You're supposed to realize your own.
But then you're able to quiet it. You can't shut it. You can quiet it down.
You can control it. You can keep it from going off the rails. Yes. So in Vipassana, for example, all it is you sit there and focus on your breath. There's no talking. There's no nothing else. And so the idea is that when your mind's going off the rails, as it always does, and in whatever direction it has to go, usually to the past. So here's the timeline I think of. Usually what it goes through, as I said earlier, 3 to 4 days of like, all right, who's upset that I'm here? Yeah. Who am I messing up? Then what am I going to do after this? You go to the future. And so for me it was Christmas, and here's Christmas. And then you go throughout the whole way. Well, because there's no other option.
Like, do they tell you like what you're supposed to go in there like for? Like why you're in there? No. They don't ask you why?
Because it's self-revealing. Okay. Yeah. Because everyone has their own shit. Everyone has gone through their own things. So the only technique is focus on your breath.
I see.
So when your mind is going, as it does, as it will, because you're meditating 8 hours a day in a room that's very boring. So your mind's going to go, and then you just keep going. I think like you were saying earlier about how you just keep asking, what's it doing? What's it doing? You just keep going, keep following all the way to the end. Right. So you keep going, like making these plans, these elaborate plans. I made so many elaborate plans that made no sense. It's like, okay, so my brother gets in, I don't know, maybe a Tuesday, and then Tuesday's a Taco Tuesday. Okay, so we'll pick him up and we'll go straight there. And then this girl, I should get laid. I'm going to call this girl. I'm going to call this girl I haven't seen in 8 years. Like, just stupid stuff. Yeah. And so you burn all that off. And then you keep going back to the breath, keep going back, and eventually your mind goes to the past. Right. And that's where the real help comes in. Because every single person in life has dealt with trauma at some level. Yeah. Some people, it's very, very extreme trauma. Obviously, it's like rape and abuse and like physical stuff. But everyone has emotional trauma. I don't believe that there's anybody who doesn't. Life is traumatic. Especially childhood. Childhood is confusing and chaos.
I know. It shapes us.
And like parenting's an impossible job, and schools are like chaos. And
parenting's like parenting is like a really hard job, though. You can't really categorize that, I think.
Well, but what I'm saying is, like, it seems to me, just based on me thinking about the way my parents did it and, like, looking at people and how they interact with their parents, it's impossible to get through it without installing some trauma, just because, like, it's too much. Like, you have to go to work and be a parent and take care of yourself, and you put on your own oxygen mask, and people aren't always good at that, and there's gonna be times where there's holes in the system, and shit gets fucked up, and there's some trauma, and then life goes on, and you forget about it, and then, so meditation, like, for me, my experience of it has always been, you plan out the future, and that gets boring, come back to the breath, go to the past, and unravel some shit.
Yeah, basically, don't blame. You can't blame anyone. You can't blame your parents for you being like the way you are. You can't blame anyone. Because sure, your parents were mad at you when you were a kid. Maybe they were staying up all night till 3 a.m. waiting for you to come home, from a party or whatever. That happened every night in high school and whatnot. You know what we did. But like...
My parents went to sleep.
Any parent... Okay, well, that's... that means they don't care about you.
Right, so these are the different ways trauma can come.
No, that doesn't mean they don't care about you. That means they look at it different. That means they trust you. That means they trusted you. If you look at it that way, that means they loved you and trusted you enough to not wait up till 3 a.m.